set my timer here. Sorry. It's pretty awkward training for this adventure. Imagine me going into City Park where people are playing volleyball, they're going jogging in their athleisure, and the adorable couples are in their Colorado plaid and their flannels on the blankets having a picnic. And I show up wearing a goofy sun-protecting hat, a 60-pound pack, and brush pants, even though there's no pants, there's no brush, there's no brush anywhere to be found in City Park. And so it must have been pretty ridiculously seeing me get physically ready for this adventure. But I had these two guys were dragging me along on this trip. I was happy to be invited, I should say. They are military guys and they're super athletes, and I cannot show up the weakest guy there, so I'm motivated. I'm also embracing the opportunity to do some spiritual and mental work. So I asked the three most important people in my life, I'm going into the woods I'm going into the wilderness, I like it said like that, for 5 days. What should I think about? My wife, brilliant, says, be mindful. I'm in pursuit of enlightenment, which we would call 100% enlightenment. Me, I'm about 1 or 2%, so that's good advice from her. The second most important person in my life, my brother, he says, brace yourself for this. He says, imagine the simplest life possible, and then contemplate the filters or walls that you would put up to before you can introduce any more complexity or opportunities, because you want to hit your deathbed without having any obligations. You want your to-do list to be free. Somehow kind of brilliant as well, if not too heady. And the third most important person in my life is me. I just show up to this adventure, this spiritual journey, with the question of, what's my lesson? Fast forward to the end of day 2. We're sitting around the campfire. Okay. I've spent 2 days falling behind and trying to be zen, to contemplate possibilities, and just constantly questioning, what's my big lesson? 2 days, getting nothing out of that, exhausted. We're talking up day 5. Day 5 is the big day. Day 5 is the longest day. Day 5 has the longest period between waters also, which means we're carrying extra water. Day 5 is at the highest altitude, so the least amount of oxygen. It's this monstrosity of a day, despite all the good advice that we've gotten that says when you go for a hike like this, you do not want your last day to be your hardest day. Your blisters will not thank you for that. And so day 3 shows up, and I'm not going to let days 1 and 2 happen again. And fortunately, it turns out to be a great day for me. It's the day with the hills. And so at the end of day 3, I'm asked, I get to be guru for 30 seconds, which you know I love. And so I said to him, I said, well, it's mouth breathing is the secret. Day 4 is actually the highest altitude gain. So on a map, it looks kind of short, but the map's 2-dimensional. In 3 dimensions, you look up and you're like, holy shit. So day 4 is a trek. I've learned at this point how to use my poles. I push myself forward with poles. I can catch up with these guys on the flats because they put up their poles on the flats. They only use them they want to use them uphill and downhill. It's my booster. So I'm keeping up. I'm doing great with that. I'm huffing and puffing. And the way I'm breathing is in and out through my nose. This is something I've learned. I could feel if my legs start to burn, then it's a failure of my mind to push my diaphragm to get the oxygen into the system. And I'm visualizing all of that, and I'm feeling it, and these guys are following my lead. It's fantastic. So at the top of the largest climb day, I am mentally exhausted. I spent another 2 days trying to figure out, pushing myself to be mindful, trying to imagine a simple life, which I find to be very challenging, and trying to imagine a deathbed scenario where my inbox is at 0, and I'm still questioning. I've got nothing. 4 days, and I'm begging for what is my spiritual message, what's my lesson, and I get to the top, mentally exhausted at the top, physically exhausted at the top, and spent an entire day on this climb, and I'm collapsed over, and I'm actually got tears in my eyes, chills in my body, and it comes to me. Spirituality is physical. Day 5 shows up. Turns out to be easy. And we saw a bear, which was fantastic. These guys they're planning more bigger adventures, and they're posting about how they breathe. I'm trying to be more physical. I'm doing the yoga. I'm doing Qigong, which is that Chinese movement that was made illegal because it's so powerful. I'm the last time I'm doing improv. Improv is they're telling me to be more physical in improv. The last time I won a ribbon up here, I was whooping around, whoop, 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 on the ground. And so yesterday, I had a tough time in front of the camera, so I decided I got to sign up for Toastmasters yesterday, and then I started preparing, and then today I saw what was on my Pathways path was physical gestures and body language, and I said, that's perfect. I've got to tell these guys that we are meant to be spiritual beings. We're meant to be mentally healthy and strong. We are meant to be physical. Thank you.
And if you take a minute and do an evaluation for